Alright, so I want to talk about the Flash directors in this one. But first, I want to thank everyone for getting me to 200 subscribers. It's pretty amazing that I just crossed that. I just noticed it. I can't thank you enough. I know a lot of you are coming from the Justice League fan edit, and I will be tweaking that someday. I just gotta find time to do it. But yeah, thank you to everybody who subscribed. I just mainly bullshit about shit that's on my mind, which is mainly DC stuff, DC movies, and that's about it. That's like all I talk about, but sometimes I'll talk about some different stuff like wrestling or other movies or whatnot, but I mainly just focus on DC. And in this one, we're going to be talking about the fucking Flash directors. But before we get to that, Zack Snyder posted on his Vero account this awesome picture of Ezra Miller wearing a Black Freighter shirt, and I can't believe how much of a nerd Zack Snyder is. Like, I know he made Watchmen, so he definitely knows everything about Watchmen. But just putting that in a movie just shows how much of a fucking nerd Zack Snyder is about comic books, and it's great. And apparently it's a deleted scene from Justice League where we see Ezra Miller with glasses. I'm thinking he hasn't got struck by lightning yet. And there's probably a scene in the movie where we get to see him get struck by lightning, and they cut it out. They cut it out. This is another thing they cut out of the movie. I can't believe Zack Snyder would post a shot of a deleted scene from Justice League, but he did. And it was a shot of Ezra Miller we haven't seen before in any type of, behind the scenes featurettes and trailers. We've never seen this version of Barry Allen with the glasses, with the goddamn nerdy watch, we haven't seen this version of his Flash, and they shot it, and it's on film. And it's just like, goddamn, how much longer are we gonna wait for that Zack Snyder cut, right? How much longer? It's probably gonna take years, but until then, we're just gonna have to keep watching Zack Snyder's Vero account to see him posting behind the scenes and deleted scenes, pictures from Justice League forever, until we get the actual movie. But yeah. On to the Flash directors, though. And the Flash directors are officially announced as John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein. Now, this news came out a few days ago, and it's official. Some articles have dubbed it the official directors of Flashpoint. The movie's still called Flashpoint on IMDb, and every article is dubbing it Flashpoint. Whether or not it becomes the actual Flashpoint movie is still up in the air. I think they're still writing the script, I think they're still doing that shit. And, they're still casting, they still got a lot of shit to do in pre-production. And they probably won't start shooting the actual film until the end of this year or at the beginning of 2019. And then it'll probably be released in the fall of 2020 or in the summer of 2020, one or the other. But, yeah, you got these two guys, John Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, and these two guys are credited with Game Night and The Vacation. Two mediocre comedies. Those are the two movies they have directed. It's the two movies that the public have seen. They've directed a few other shorts, but Game Night and Vacation are the only films they've actually made and put out. And they're both credited writers on Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, it seems that people don't know how to react to this news, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now that this is some of the worst people you could have got to make the Flash movie. I mean, everyone, they were talking Robert Zemeckis from Back to the Future was going to make Flashpoint, and they had that completely other director on stage at Comic-Con a few years ago. I already forgot his name, but he seemed more of a better pick than these guys, and I didn't even know that guy. I would take anybody else but these two directors. It's crazy, because I feel like Warner Brothers has made great decisions on hiring directors up until this point. I mean, Patty Jenkins for Wonder Woman, she was coming off of, an Oscar caliber film. Zack Snyder was coming off of Watchmen and shit like that. Proven people that can make great films. And yeah, people will fucking bitch all day that Zack Snyder doesn't know how to make a film yet. All his films are amazing, so, fuck you. And they also got David Ayer, who's a really creative director that was coming off of Fury. And then they get James Wan to do Aquaman, another proven director that, restarted the horror genre and made a good Fast and Furious film, right? So, a proven talent, they get him to do Aquaman. And then they take a risk on this Sandberg guy for Shazam, and judging by the look of Shazam's costume, and I'll get to that in another video, yeah, I think Sandberg's going to do a fine job on Shazam. And he's only directed a few other movies, but I like his few movies better than John Daley and Jonathan Goldstein's movies, right? They're, like, I wouldn't even consider Game Night a fucking movie, like it's like a bad comedy special, it's not even a fucking good entertaining thing. It's a very forgettable movie that most people might watch once and then they never watch again. That's what Game Night and Vacation, that's what those movies are, all right? And I'm sorry if those like your favorite movies and you love those movies more than any other film ever, but like, this is not the kind of talent I would hope for Flash. And when Robert Zemeckis' name was even mentioned, I was, getting my hopes up that they were going to get somebody good. Like, like somebody really good. Because, Flashpoint, it kind of calls for that. But now that you get these guys who haven't even done, anything on that scale, it makes me think that the Flash movie is going to be a really small-scale movie. It's probably just going to be about the rogues. And it's just going to be a boring Flash episode. A 2-hour Flash episode. That's what it's going to be. And apparently that's what people want. They don't want Flashpoint. It's too early for a Flashpoint. And it's just like, why? Why wait, to do something epic? Like, why waste our time? It makes me think that, something big is going to happen in the Flash movie. It's not just going to be, the small-time villains of the rogues versus Flash, and we get another, Flash TV episode that's 2 hours long. That's not going to be this movie, I would hope. And I would hope these directors don't simplify it like that, but judging by their track record, it appears that's all they could do, is just simplify and make shit really goddamn boring, just make shit really boring. That's what they're best at. So, in a way, I hope that they don't direct the Flashpoint movie. I hope this Flash movie is not the Flashpoint movie because it definitely deserves better than these two directors. And, that's not me hating them. That's just me, judging them by their past work and saying clearly they're not a match for this. Like, clearly they're not a match. They wrote the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. They helped write it. Why does that give them any expertise in making a Flash movie? I would love it if Zack Snyder came back and did the Flashpoint movie. I would love that. I think that'd be perfect. But it just seems like these guys were chosen because Warner Brothers knows they can control them easily because they're young talents. They don't have a lot of experience making big Hollywood movies. They only have a couple movies under their belt, and they're just going to roll over and do whatever Warner Brothers tells them. That's what I feel is going to happen. And if they do get like an artistic, freedom to actually make whatever Flash movie they want, it's not going to be that good. It's not going to be that interesting. It's going to be boring. Nothing about their filmography screams out that these guys are super creative and they want to make an epic Flash movie. Nothing about their filmography screams that, Yeah, I'm really concerned about the Flash movie after seeing these two directors were, officially brought on to be the directors. So, I'm really scared for the movie. But then again, it really all comes down to how Aquaman comes out, because if Warner Brothers doesn't touch that and they just let James Wan do his thing, it's probably going to be great. And hopefully that will convince Warner Brothers that, hey, you just let the directors make the film. That's what you do. That's how you make these movies good. Just let the director make the film. But then you see these directors that they got for Flash, and it's just like, oh my god, I don't want these directors to make the film. I would much rather Matthew Vaughn. I'd much rather Matthew Vaughn make the Flash movie. Oh, and I cringe so hard every time Matthew Vaughn talks about Superman. I cringe so hard. But I still would rather Matthew Vaughn for Flash than these two guys. But, that's just what I think. What do you all think? Do you think these two guys, John Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, these guys are worthy of making a Flash movie? You think these guys have it in them to make the best Flash movie ever made? Or do you think that the movie will be lucky to be better than an episode of the TV show, right? Because that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking we're going to be lucky if this Flash movie is just a 2-hour episode of the Flash TV show. We'll be lucky if that's the case. But with these directors, all we have to look forward to is bad comedy and a bunch of campiness, and that's like gonna be the whole fucking movie, right? I hope Reverse Flash is the main villain, and I hope they go after him at some point. And then you could do Flashpoint for the sequel. But I think the faster we get to Flashpoint, the better. Because one, it's a great story. Two, you get Thomas Wayne Batman, which is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and he's awesome. Three, you got Cyborg back in there, which would be awesome to see Cyborg again, because we're not going to get his solo film for a long ass time. So literally the only other opportunity we have to see Cyborg in a movie is Flashpoint. And number three, it gives you a recasting option for Batman and other characters. Flashpoint allows for that. So if they're so desperate on changing some of the cast, I mean that's their way out. But I don't see Henry Cavill leaving the Superman role. I don't see Gal Gadot leaving the Wonder Woman role. They're young. They really like the roles, and it pays them really well. So I don't think they would want to leave. And same thing with Cyborg. Ray Fisher loves the role, and it's definitely his biggest role he's ever had in his life. And he's on a whole different level now that he's been in Justice League. And if they give him a Cyborg movie, he's gonna fucking knock it out of the park. And the same thing with Ezra Miller. The only odd one out is Ben Affleck, because he is getting older and he probably doesn't want to make superheroes for the rest of his life. He probably wants to make his own films that he can direct and that he could star in. That's what he wants to do. But, that's all I got to say about that stuff for now. What do y'all think about these Flash directors? I think they're not that good. I think they're bad choices for this movie. But, happy to hear what you think. I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.